We're back, and we're through all those short films. I wanted to make those videos so you guys could see the progression of the filmmaking that I made, that I had the rights to, like I said before. And while I was doing that, I wanted to break it down on what the flaws were of those short films. Luckily, we're through them now, so you won't have to watch another one of those until I make another short film, which should be at the end of this quarantine. Fingers crossed. That being said, we're getting back into the thick of it. Today is a lighting video, and I've gotten good responses on my lighting video, so let's check it out and roll that bumper. Lighting is something that when people first start out, they think is a luxury, and soon find out that it is absolutely 100% a necessity. So I'm going to take you through on a 3-part series. The reason I'm breaking it up into 3 parts is because I didn't want to make like a 45-minute video. Today's part is going to be cheap lighting that still works good and you can get good results with. Part 2 is going to be on affordable LED lights. And part 3 is going to be the more professional prosumer lights that cost a little bit more money, but are game changers. Now, if you're not quite sold on the fact that lighting changes everything, this is how something should look, while this kind of looks like how an elementary school student would start shooting videos. It hurts my brain just thinking about how bad this probably looks. Let's switch it back. Boom, there we go. Makes my head feel a little bit better. Let's walk it through step by step, and I'll start you out with the first lights I ever bought. So the first light that I resorted to, because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, was the handy dandy can light that you find at Home Depot. I had heard on channels like Film Riot that you didn't want to use shop lights, that you wanted to use lights like this, can lights, and so that's what I did. It didn't work very well for me. It's not, maybe I just didn't have the imagination, but yeah, I'll show you what this can light looks like with a 60-watt bulb. It's probably the same bulb that was in it last time I used it, so let's take a look at that. Alright, so as you can see, I don't have a dimmer for it. It's tungsten because it is tungsten. Let me change the white balance here. Hold on. Alright, so now we're on tungsten there. Yeah, it is what it is. It might be better for telling ghost stories, but yeah, that's what a can light does for you. Okay, so when that didn't work, this is about 2015, I decided to start looking on Amazon at the time, and I just looked up lighting kits for around $100, and I found this bad boy. 2 of each of these, and as you can see by the fact that they're still in packaging, you can tell how well they worked. Let me get the unpackaged versions, hold on. So we got a bulb, we got an umbrella, and we got a light fixture of some sort. At the time, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, but I never ended up using it because it was hard to control the light. It did come with this nice little diffuser umbrella, but I think this is more for photography. I still haven't found a good use for it and don't use it very much and don't recommend it. This is what it looks like. So it's just a big CHL bulb. I don't really know what that means, but that's what's written on it. It says it's 150 watts. It's daylights. Yeah, on the assembly itself, you have this hokey little... I'm saying a lot. I should be better prepared, maybe. You got this hokey light stand holder and an umbrella holder. So the umbrella... you would just open like any ordinary umbrella. I always feel like I'm going to get bad luck when I do that. You put it right in the little holder. Tighten it up. Now the only problem with this that I found is these lights also get a little warm. Not as warm as the tungsten lights, but warm enough that it made me nervous about fire hazards. So let me get a stand out and let's see how this bad boy looks. Alright, so as you can see, it's actually not a bad light source. It's just not very bright, and for the 150 watts that it's pulling out, it's just not very efficient either. It's kind of just sending out an ambient light from all over. Let me take this umbrella holder out so you can see it better on the wall. So yeah, it just kind of lights everything up like an area light that you can't really control. I'm sure they make soft boxes for these things of some sort, but at the time I didn't know what a softbox was. All right, so this would be kind of the, I'm sure it's all blown out over there. This would be kind of the soft look here. By this time, especially in 2015 with the cameras that were around, this just wasn't enough light for me. I just realized I'm not very close to the microphone. I'm hoping the audio isn't crap. So yeah, let's move on. And we're moving on actually to, well, let me turn the regular lights back on and we'll get to it. So, at a certain point in my filmmaking career, I decided that I needed some actual good lights, not these little dingy cheap ones I was finding on the internet. And the first good lights I had was a tungsten set. These tungsten lights right here, actually. I got all these lights right here for under $300. I got all these ones, except for the big one for $250 with this case, and this big guy for $50. So yeah, that worked for me for a long time. I was able to use these on a feature film. I used these on my first short film, Culpability, and I was able to use these on commercial work and music videos. And they did their part very well. So the first light we're going to take a look at is this bad boy right here. This is the Lowell DP. It's a tungsten light, obviously, as all these lights are tungsten, which means they are perfect 3200 Kelvin. Every once in a while you get a light bulb that might be 100 degrees off, but they're all right there in that range. There was no CRI back in these days. They were, this is what CRI is based off. They're basically all 100% CRI. I don't remember if they all came with these barn doors or if I purchased them separately, but most of the kits you find now all have these giant sheet metal barn doors. They work really well. They're just sheet metal and you can pop them on and off. These lights are all actually in this line really just sheet metal, some of it a little stiffer, and a light bulb. But these light bulbs are very, very powerful. This is a 1,000-watt light bulb right here. And you can get smaller amounts, but I always just bought the most that these lights could handle. And this one was 1,000 watts. So there's not much to it. There's a rubber handle on the side because these lights get very hot. That's one of the drawbacks of tungsten, is the fact that they get red hot to the point where you can't touch them, meaning when you're done for a day, you usually have to wait about a half an hour before you can pack these things up. Another downfall of these lights. But the fact that they're priced so low kind of makes up for it. These are the things you have to deal with when things are priced low. These are why they're priced low. But the light you get out of these are very awesome. So right now I'm on the aperture light, which is pumping daylight. So this light is going to look orange because it's not white balanced. But I'm going to see if I can white balance it as we go here. Also, this light does, by sliding the bulb in and out, it does spot and flood mode. So let's turn this aperture light off and see what this light looks like. All right, so now I'm going to change the white balance over to tungsten, so that way this is more representative of what this light will look like. And boom. Let's turn the aperture light off, turn this light on, and let's knock over a bunch of microphones because it's dark, and see what we get. Oh yeah, I'm sure it's blown out on whatever you guys are watching on. I don't want to change the exposure to match what the light is doing because then you won't be able to see how bright this really is. So I'm keeping the exposure at the same on all lights like I do in all my tests. You can kind of get a sense of, there's flood mode right there, so it lights everything up, and spot really just hones in and spots out right there. You can really see how this would work, and even though I don't have the barn doors on, you can see how you can cut this very, very clearly because it's a single source light. Yeah, this is really hot, so I'm going to turn it off and turn on the aperture light. Let's change back the white balance here. And boom, we're ready to go. Now this is a very hot light, so right now I couldn't touch it even in that short amount of time. With all this jiggling, I also have a tendency to break bulbs because when the bulb is hot, it's easier to break like a normal light bulb you would find in a house. But that's all I'm going to say about the Lowell DP. Let's see if I can get it out of here without letting it cool off. So the next light on our list is the next most powerful, which is the powerhouse of this line, the Lowell Omni, as you can see by the fact that I have 4 of them. It came with 4, so that's one reason I have 4 of them, but also this is the most versatile light of the group. It's not too bright, not too dim, and was just the light I used most on set. If you can tell by me loading and unloading, it's a very basic way to load these onto stands. It's just the old hole with a screw in it. Screw tightens down. Voila. Isn't it amazing? Yeah, so the Lowell Omni you can see is smaller than the DP. Still comes with these barn doors that are clip-on, but they're not as big, so they're not as flimsy. Let me pop these off here. This handle on the Omni actually can be moved, which on the DP it doesn't, which is a plus. This is also, you can see it's a different kind of light. This light isn't the big cylinder that pushes forward. It's made to be vertical instead of horizontal. So yeah, this is what the bulb looks like. And the way that it spots and floods, if you look here, is it just kind of comes further and back closer to the reflector itself, and that's how it does its thing. Again, all of these lights that are coming up all can be plugged in with the same kind of cord. They all have their own cords, but it's just a proprietary Lowell cord that you can plug into all these lights. I think that's everything on the Lowell Omni that I need to do. And yeah, let me plug it in and we'll see. Oh, I'm going to put the barn doors on this time. And let's plug it in and see what we can do with this. And this is the Lowell Omni. Now again, like I said, you can both spot and flood it. So this is flood mode. And that's more of a spot mode. It's crazy, you kind of get the same effect, but just using a very different kind of light source. And yeah, that's basically all that's left on the Lowell Omni. There is another thing. You can see this little thing on the side here. It's an umbrella holder, because back in these days, the way to get diffusion was you popped an umbrella in there with a white diffusion cloth. And actually, I think I have one. Hold on. So yeah, you would grab one of these umbrellas, get your however many years of bad luck that would be, slide it in there, and now you have your diffusion. It worked, but as you can see, it's kind of clunky and not quite the same look as a softbox, but it worked at the time. But if you held it too close, your umbrella would get burned because of the heat. Next up, we're going to go with the little guy of the group, but one that's actually very versatile. I made the oregano because it's just an instinct at this point in time, because I still crave my sports that I'm not getting. This is the Lowell Pro. It's a 250 watt little guy, but does the job and actually was pretty versatile. As you can see, I've kind of bent the frame over time because I used it so much, but it still works. It came with these little barn doors that I was able to take off now because I can show you the light better. It also has a flood and spot mode, but it does it a little different. It has this Fresnel mount on the front. So all in all, it's much different than the Omni or the DP, other than the fact that it was just smaller. So let's fire this thing up, change the white balance, and see what we got. All right. Another downfall is there's nothing to grab onto with the Lowell Pro, so you got to set it up beforehand, which I did not do. So yeah, you can see here, I'm going to start standing on this side of the light since everything seems to be over here that I need to touch. You can see how you can get more of a flood or a spot by turning the knob. And yeah, that 250 watts, actually you get a lot out of it because of the Fresnel lens, and it was just an easy light to fit in places, at least places that weren't flammable. So that is the Lowell Pro. The Lowell Tota is a lot different than the other lights. It's more of the area light of the group, and it's 750 watts. That's the bulb that's in there now, but it had a lot of different ranges. You can get a 250 or a 500 watt, and 750 was the cap, and like I said before, I just liked having the most I could get on it. And it has this little thing so you can move it around here that's rubber so it doesn't get too hot, and you can focus it in by moving these here, but I'm not going to mess with it. The screen here is to protect people, so it's not just straight bulb, and if something hit the bulb, it would shatter. And yeah, that's the Lowell Tota. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, you can light up this whole half of the room with this one light. See what I mean about it being an area light? It's even from top to bottom. It lights the whole thing evenly. And I actually got a lot of use on this for lighting full sides of rooms and whatnot. But usually in comedies because they don't need to be contrasty. So yeah, that's the Lowell Tota. And the last of our Lowell lights that we are going to look at today. The first thing I'm sure you're asking yourself is, would I recommend these lights for people now in 2020? And the answer to that is absolutely. If you're on a budget, you can't do much better than budget tungsten lights. And these work very well, but they're very cheap. They're, like I said, I got them all for about $300. That is about half the price that I paid for that light, the Aperture 120D, and that's just one light. With these lights, I was able to do whole lighting campaigns on different movies, music videos, and commercials. And so if you're on a budget, I would go to eBay right now and look up some Lowell tungsten lights or Ari tungsten lights, Mole Richardson, but those companies are going to be a little bit more expensive. All right, guys, so that's vid 1 on the lighting series I'm going to do here. I'm going to have the next ones up hopefully in a couple days. I'm going to space them out maybe every 3 days or so. And overall, just be careful out there, guys. It's a tough time for our country right now. It's a tough time for all of you. And I just want us all to come together and be happy together, love each other. And just remember, it's not a competition. Let's all rise together. I'll see you guys in a couple days.